see my slides. If you can see my slides, it should say how to make 10K monthly as a Pinterest manager. Let me know if you can see that and if you can hear me. Maria said yes. Jamie said yes. We're going to take that as a green light. Brittany said yes. Okay. So how to make 10K monthly as a Pinterest manager. This is about making a full-time income without working full-time hours. And I'm just going to preface this training now. Pardon me if I get a little tongue-tied. I had a very long weekend. My daughter, actually both of my daughters, had a dance competition and I was there all weekend. So my brains are a little bit fried, but I have been looking forward to this all weekend. So I'm so excited. Okay, so the teacher in me, in case you didn't know, I am a former elementary teacher. The teacher in me can't help but begin with the end in mind. You can think of this as me giving you the objective for tonight. So what you're going to walk away with. So what we're going to talk about tonight, why a Pinterest manager is a must for you now, even if you're feeling a little apprehensive about your current skills and knowledge. We're going to talk about what you'll do as a Pinterest manager. I want there to be this resounding theme of, is this in alignment for me? I think that we all have this gut instinct. If you're religious, my mom would say that's the Holy Spirit, but we all have this feeling in our hearts or our gut about things being a good fit or maybe not. And I think it's important to listen to that because that's kind of a protective mechanism. Our intuition telling us like, hey, this is a good idea, or maybe this is not a good idea. And a lot of times that same intuition is something that keeps us safe when something is telling us, hey, danger, right? And I think that it can also help us make good decisions or steer us from decisions that might not be the best fit. And so I just encourage you to listen to this training with an open heart and open mind. Know that I'm a real person, and the people that are in my Pinterest Manager Academy and that I'm helping and coaching right now, I truly care about them. And this is not rewarding for me if I'm not helping people get the transformation they're looking for. So I'm just going to say it right now. I am very direct, and I want you to know that what I say tonight is not to be sound harsh or unkind, but because I want to give it to you straight and know that it's from a place of love and kindness because I want the best for you. And like I said, this isn't rewarding for me if I'm not helping people get a transformation that they're looking for. And I don't think that this is for everybody, but I also want to give you the information you need so that you can decide, yes, this is for me, or hey, this was cool, but this isn't for me. That's okay. It's not going to be for everybody. So, what else you're going to discover besides what a Pinterest manager will do? You're going to discover how to find clients and put yourself out there so you can start making money now. And then, of course, what might stop you and how to overcome it? Because part of building a business is you are going to have roadblocks. You are going to have challenges. You're going to feel stuck at times. You're going to feel frustrated at times. And I know that does not sound super sexy, but that's the thing. Business isn't always rainbows and sunshine. And on social media, we're kind of given this picture like it's fast and it's easy and you make all this money. And that's not the full picture. And so I'm here to give you the full picture so you can decide, yes, I know that this is going to be messy at times, but I'm willing to put in the work because I know I'm building a sustainable business. So you're in the right place if you want to change careers and have more freedom and flexibility. You are in the right place if you want to spend less time working, but you still want to make a full-time income and comfortably support your family. You are in the right place if you want a career that really has no ceiling in regards to the growth and potential. I can tell you right now, when I started my business in 2018, I had no idea that I'd be doing what I am today in 2025. And I wouldn't ever have gotten here if I just wouldn't have gotten started. That is the best part and the scariest part about business is you don't always know where you're going to be in even 1 year, let alone 5 years from now. But I have grown something that is so much greater than I could have ever imagined. And so that's the good news. So it can be that good. So I saw something too the other day, and I wish I would have written it down, but like who said it? I'm like, I'm terrible about like sharing these quotes that are like inspiring. And then I'm like, but I don't know who said it. But one of the things I read, it was like, what's the best that could happen? We always have this like survival instinct where we're like our mind just goes to like the domino of doubt and like always like what could be the worst case scenario. But with business, like I said, I never thought I'd be doing what I am now in 2025. And sometimes we have to say like what's the best that could happen? So, you're in the right place if you are serious about taking action and investing in yourself. This is something that, it's going to take time and it's going to take effort. And I've told people, like, you are here taking time out of your night already and investing time in this. And I've had people tell me in the past, like, they don't have time to watch a 1 hour training. And if you don't have 1 hour, then starting a business isn't for you because it does take time. So, like I said, I'm going to be direct, but I also just want to give it to you straight. So, you on the other end of the spectrum, you are not in the right place if you are looking to get rich quick. Starting a business, especially as a Pinterest manager, starting a service-based business, it's not that type of thing. And, I think that's one thing that has like, we've gotten so jaded, maybe is the right way to say it, jaded by all the things we see on social media and like make $2.2 million in 6 months. And I literally saw that on somebody's Instagram one time. And maybe that person did make $2.2 million in 6 months. I'm not saying they lied, but that person is not the norm. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. The low-hanging fruit is already gone. So it's not that type of thing. You're not in the right place if you don't see your time as your most valuable commodity. You're not in the right place if you're going to be mad at me spending over an hour of my time teaching you how you can get this started on your own, or if you want me to be your mentor. So I'm going to be sharing about my Pinterest Manager Academy. I do have a program and I do coach. That is not something that should be a shock. I've shared that in emails, I share that on my social media, but this is also going to give you really good information if you decided that you wanted to do this on your own. So you are not in the right place if you're looking for instant gratification rather than building a sustainable business that will be an asset for you. Spoiler alert, Rome wasn't built in a day and your business isn't going to be built in a day. So if you are in a position where you're like, I needed money like 2 weeks ago, I can't pay the bills, I can't put food on my table. I just want to say I can't imagine how hard that is if that's what you're going through right now. But this, in the meantime, it's not to say that this business isn't for you, but if you're needing money like tomorrow, then you might look into doing additional things because building a business, I have had students who land clients within like 3 or 4 weeks, but it's not literally overnight. So I also want to be transparent about that. So I want you to stay until the end because I have an exclusive invitation for you that I'm not offering to anybody else, but only to you because you are here raising your hand saying that you want to learn more. And I also am sharing my framework and it's closer to the end, but it's essentially sharing exactly what I did and what my students are doing to scale to 5-figure months working part-time hours as Pinterest managers. So that leads right into this is a screenshot. You can see the timestamp. It was from March of 2021. This was my first 5-figure month. And I just, like I said, I'm all about transparency. When I hit my first 5-figure month in 2021, that was just as a service-based business, just as a Pinterest manager. I had no digital products. I wasn't selling courses. I wasn't doing any affiliate marketing. This was literally just working as a Pinterest manager. And you can see I did have some business expenses, but I was investing in a business coach. I will say investing in a business coach was one of the best investments I've ever made. I truly attribute that to helping me get to my first 5K month and then my first 10K month. So I will say, side note about these business expenses, just so you know, I was investing in a business coach at this time, but one of the beautiful things about having a Pinterest management business or a freelance business in general is that your overhead expenses can be very low. So we'll talk about that later. But I wanted to show you this because that was huge for me. And it was not only the first month that I went beyond 10K, but I actually made 13. So the 13, that was my revenue, but my actual profit was 11,000. So that was huge for me. Now, that took me from 2019 to 2021. That took me 2 years to get to my first 10K month as a Pinterest manager. This is Annie. So, Annie has been in my academy for about a year, and she enrolled in, let's see, February of 2024. By June of 2024, she had quit her teaching job. And you can see now She put, I just have to share, last March I launched my business and earned a whole $42. And this is my reality 1 year later. So now a full year later, in March of 2025, Annie was beyond $8,000 a month. So it doesn't have to take you a couple of years. Annie's almost close to that 10K mark after 1 year. So my academy is truly the roadmap, fastest track to success in scaling your Pinterest management business. So in my academy, I have a weekly coaching call and I love to start with wins because I think it just is inspiring. It sets a good tone. And so that's what I want to do on tonight's training. And these are some of the wins from inside my academy. Robin was a former teacher. She signed multiple clients and even had to hire a subcontractor after being in my academy. Adriana was an orthodontist and she hit her first 5K month just within 6 months of being in the academy. Tammy, she was a teacher, then a podcast manager. Didn't love podcast management, so then she was pivoting to Pinterest. Nancy, she got her first client within 30 days of working with me, and it was a $600 a month retainer package, meaning that she was making $600 every month from that one client as a beginner. So lots of inspiration. And I just also want to share with you, this is what's possible. So before we go any further, though, let's talk about what a Pinterest manager is. So this might be a newer concept to you, or maybe you've heard of it before, but as a Pinterest manager, you are a small business owner. As a Pinterest manager, you are a service-based business. So you're offering an in-demand service that business owners are willing to pay you for / outsource within their business. So you are offering something to a business owner and they are paying you for those services. So I loved freelancing, and this is, I had kind of looked into some other things before I started. Like I had looked into like photography. I like talked to my mother-in-law about real estate, because I'll share more about my story in a minute. But as I shared, I was a teacher and I had quit my teaching job. And so when I was looking into other things, though, I really needed flexibility, but I needed something that felt right to me. And so as a service-based business, it felt right to me that I was helping business owners grow their business. And in exchange, they were paying me for my services. So I felt like it was this really healthy ecosystem of like a business helper helping another business owner. So I'm helping them grow their business, and then they are helping me by paying me for my services. So I want you to ask yourself right now, does that business model feel right to you? Does that feel good? That felt right to me. And I'm like, okay, this I can get behind. So then I'm like, okay, what else do I need to know about Pinterest management? So as a Pinterest manager, like I shared, you're a freelancer or a contractor. So when you're thinking about Pinterest management, you are not employed by Pinterest. I've had that common misconception before. People think that they're becoming like a Pinterest employee. You are not working for Pinterest. You own your own business. And so you get to work on Pinterest, but you're not actually a Pinterest employee, which is the good thing, right? Because we want to become our own bosses. So we want to control how many clients we're working with, how many clients we take. And that's part of the beauty of it. So I have students who just want to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And I have students like Annie who's like, I don't just want to replace my teaching income. I want to like quadruple it. So that's the beauty of being a contractor, is you can work with multiple clients. You can and you will probably want to take on multiple clients. And that also helps create some stability, because from month to month, one of the beautiful things about Pinterest management is that a lot of your services, which I teach you how to create your packages and all of that in the academy. But your most common package is something that's based on retainer. That means that business owners, the package that they're most commonly needing is something that they're paying you for month after month, which is great, right? Because we want consistent income from this. So as a Pinterest manager, you're a marketer. So let me paint this picture for you in terms of marketing, because I didn't fully understand marketing and business, and that was just not what I knew, what I was comfortable with. I was a teacher, and not to say I didn't have obviously a lot of skills in my tool belt or tools in my tool belt as a teacher, but the whole business, it was all foreign to me. So let me explain what you're doing as a Pinterest manager. So, for example, one of my clients actually was a teacher. She sold digital teaching resources on a platform called Teachers Pay Teachers. Even Etsy shop owners, lots of different, types of sellers can benefit from Pinterest. But what I did for this Teachers Pay Teachers seller, I designed the pin, created those, and I was getting people to her blog and her products from Pinterest. So that's why a business owner would want to pay you is you're helping grow their business on Pinterest. So you're marketing their blog, their products, their resources, and what they have to offer is going to vary depending on their business model. So this client I was working with, she had she had digital teaching products. And so that's what I was, marketing on Pinterest for her. And one other thing I want to mention is you might be on Pinterest and have like a million saved pins to your boards, but you're actually not working on your account. You're working on your client's account because you're helping grow their Pinterest account. So I know that this might still feel like a little muddy to you, but we're going to talk more about obviously what you're going to be doing as a Pinterest manager. And I think it will continue to, provide more clarity for you. But let me know in the chat if you're starting to get the understanding of like what a Pinterest manager is and what they do. So, and like I said, we're going to be talking much more about like what you're actually doing, but do you have an understanding of what a Pinterest manager is? And you're a freelancer, you're a contractor, you're not an employee. Let's see. Got it and excited, Lauren. I'm following. Yes, yes. And all answers are, correct. There's no right or wrong answers here. Yes, Betty Joe, perfect. Jamie, Julie, perfect. Yes, yes. Okay. But wait, Pinterest management. This sounds almost too good to be true. Isn't this oversaturated? One of the number one questions they get asked, isn't this oversaturated? So I wanted to cover this before we go any further, because if you're thinking that there's not room at the table for you, this is obviously going to hold you back from wanting to do this, right? So Pinterest management isn't saturated actually compared to things like social media management for Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. So here's the real picture and what you need to know about Pinterest and Pinterest management. Demand is actually growing because more brands, bloggers, e-commerce shops, service-based businesses, online coaches, service providers, they're realizing that Pinterest drives evergreen traffic, not just fleeting likes. So your content on Pinterest, it lasts so much longer. So yes, businesses are going to market on social media. That's a huge way that they increase their income. But when you're marketing on Pinterest, their content, it lasts so much longer. And the beauty of it is that actually a lot of business owners, don't totally understand Pinterest, and so they're not utilizing it. And that actually means there's all this untapped potential. So you have this opportunity to be like, oh my gosh, you're sleeping on Pinterest. Like, let's get started. And it is a huge traffic and sales driver for thousands of business owners. So the thing to know too about Pinterest management is that good managers are actually rare. So there are a lot of beginners or general VAs, and not to poo-poo them, but I'm just saying why you would want an expertise in this area, okay? And I've actually had business owners hire me because they had either somebody on their team or a VA or somebody, you take over their Pinterest account, but they didn't really know what they were doing and they weren't able to get them results. Pinterest, it's a totally different ball game. It's not social media. It's actually a search engine. And so it really takes a unique skill set to know how to get results on it for business owners. So there are a lot of beginners or general VAs offering Pinterest help, but a true specialist who understands SEO, trends, analytics, and sales funnels on Pinterest, much less common. And I don't say that so that you're like, oh my gosh, Emily, I don't know what any of that, what you just said. That's okay. You can have zero knowledge and still be successful at this, but you're going to need some training, right? So I just want to say that if you are like, I don't have that, that's okay. I can help you with the skills training part. But I'm also trying to share why somebody would want to hire a specialist, right? So having a niche focus matters. And I actually just posted this on my Instagram today. One of the reasons I attributed my business scaling to 5-figure months was because I became a specialist or an expert at one thing. And so that was Pinterest. And so if you niche down like Pinterest, and you can niche down even further. So Pinterest management is a freelance niche, right? But even within that, you could niche down to helping Etsy sellers, coaches, wedding businesses. For me, I scaled to 5-figure months really just helping teachers and on Pinterest. So I wasn't like serving everybody. I actually even niched down to specifically serving teachers. So essentially, all of my clients were teachers pay teacher sellers. And I loved it because I was a former teacher. And so I share that because it just shows you that that is very niche, a Pinterest manager for TPT sellers. And I was totally overbooked. And I actually like had to turn people away. And so I want to share that with you when you're thinking about saturation and wondering, what that looks like. So it's even less saturated and easier to stand out when you niche down, actually. So if you position yourself well, you have a strong portfolio, clear packages, and a real understanding of strategy, there's so much room to grow. And if you're like, well, I'm missing all of those things, Emily, that's okay. I've got you covered. So let's keep going. So why do you want to do this and where would you like to be 1 year from now? So we've talked about what a Pinterest manager is, that it's not oversaturated. And now we want to talk about like, why are you here tonight? I want you to put in the chat, and I know that this might take a second, so I'll take a sip of water, give you a second to type this out, but I really want you to think about this and share with me, where do you want to be 1 year from now? And you can put in terms of how much you're making on a monthly basis. You could put, how many hours you want to be working. Where do you want to be with, your career, your life? I would love for you to put that in the chat. Oh no, Serena says she can't hear anything. I think, Serena, you might just need to check on your audio because I think everybody else in here, let's see. Kelly, I want to pay off my credit card debt and house and cars so we can start thinking about retirement. Yes. Rebecca, I'd like to be in a bigger home, planning our summer 2026 vacation. I love that, Rebecca. Lauren, I want to be 100% debt free 1 year from now and focusing on spending more time doing things I love, but financially able to do so. I also want to build generational wealth. I would like to make 15 to 20K per month. Emily, already making 6 figures, but I'm looking to add another stream of income. I love that, Emily. Looking to start investing in real estate and have a son going to college in a year. Maria, I want to supplement my family's income so we are able to focus on our family and doing more for our community. I'd also love to help get our first house. I love that, Maria. Ashley, military spouse and homeschooling, stay-at-home mom, would love extra income to travel more. Jules, I would like to pay off my debt and help contribute. Erica, live abroad. Amazing. Jolie, I want to get out of debt, travel, and own an apartment. Tayana, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Pay off credit card debt and build generational wealth. Um, let's see. Julie, let's see. I'm raising my grandson and starting over raising kids and with health issues. I can't work out of home and need to be able to work from home. Brittany, I want to pay off debt and build a strong business that allows me to quit my job and travel full time. Tina, debt free, buy a new home, help pay my children's college debt. 1 year from now, I want to replace my former teacher income and have a team of Pinterest managers who were former teachers as well. Oh my gosh, I love this, Danielle. I love everybody's, but I love how specific you are. The goal is debt free and not be weighed down by it. Betty Joe, let's see. I want to be able to pay off my credit card debt. Yes. How good would that feel? And be able to help build a business so that I can quit teaching so I can travel with my kids. I love that. Ariana, I would like to have a part-time job and help my daughter's college tuition. Lily, I would love to make more to buy my first home and travel. Brittany, I would love to be debt free. Oh my goodness, these are so amazing. Jamie, I've been looking to make extra income with the potential of replacing my salary. I've been searching for the right fit. I'm trying to build wealth and pay off my car. I love this so much. And so I want you to just think about this. I love reading these so much. And I'm seeing recurring themes of like paying off debt, buying your first house, being able to save for retirement. And I did have a teacher retirement, but when I quit my teaching job, that stopped, right? I had only been teaching for 3.5 years. And so at that point, I wasn't putting anything in retirement for multiple years. And finally, I got to a point in my business where I'm like, I opened a retirement and I've been investing in on through Vanguard, and it feels so good to put money into that monthly and know that I'm like, planning for my future and focusing like on my retirement. And you know, I'm just sharing this because I feel like what you all are sharing is so possible, but it does take work and effort. And like I said, it didn't happen overnight for me. But the important thing and why I wanted to stress this is so much can happen in 1 year. And obviously, even more happens in 3 years, 5 years, but you don't go anywhere if you don't take that first step. And sometimes I think back to like, there's this trend on social media, like the butterfly effect. Like, what if I wouldn't have started freelancing? And I actually started as a virtual assistant. And that's clearly not what I'm doing now. But if I wouldn't have just taken that first step, I wouldn't be here today. And so I want you to ask yourself, is what you are currently doing getting you closer to paying off debt, saving for retirement, building generational wealth, being able to travel abroad or live abroad? Uh, is what you're doing right now, is it getting you closer or further from where you really want to be 1 year from now? And some of you shared, like, I make a good income already, but I want another income stream. And everybody's goals and what they're wanting out of this, that's okay for it to look a little bit different. I have students like Emily. She is still teaching full time. She has 3 kids and she is getting her master's. She's not totally done with getting her master's. And she has 6 Pinterest management clients. And I'm like, I don't know how. I literally was like, I don't know how you're doing this. And this is not about like overworking yourself and burning yourself out, but she wanted to keep teaching because she's 3 years away from retirement. And she's like, I can do this for 3 more years. But in the meantime, before I retire from teaching, I want to be making additional income for my family. And so with her having 6 clients, she's bringing in an additional $3,500 a month for her family. That can be life changing for people. And so, then I have students like Emily, who was a very successful Etsy shop owner. Her Etsy shops were very successful, but her income would kind of be up and down with selling products. And so she wanted this for another income stream. And I believe it was Emily who in the chat shared that, like, I make 6 figures, but I want an additional income stream. So I get that too, and just wanting to have stability. And then I think of Gwendolyn. My student Gwendolyn enrolled in April of 2024. And in the fall of 2024, she had 5 clients and she was thinking about quitting her job as an interpreter. And that's why she got started, was because she actually had a pay cut and it made her feel really underappreciated. And it was like one of those things that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And she's like, you know what? I am going to do this Pinterest management thing. It didn't happen overnight. It took her a couple of months to get her first client. But now she has 5 clients, and guess what? She just messaged me last week on Instagram saying that she got laid off. And she's like, you know what? It was kind of hard because I wanted to be the one who like quit after I had like hit my goal of 6 clients. She had 5, but she wanted to quit when she got 6 clients. Like that was her number. And she's like, but I am so glad that I have this business. And I've had other people who have been interested in the academy because they're on severance right now because they did get laid off and they don't have a job and they've actually been searching for a 9 to 5 and they're not finding one. That is the thing. It's like we want to be impatient and think that this business should happen so fast, but it's like sometimes it can take months to find a 9 to 5. So at least with this, even if it takes months, you're building something that is yours that people can't just take from you. So I'm sorry, I get very passionate about this. So this time, Ryzen, I want you to think about this in 6 to 9 months. Think about, are you getting closer or further away from where you want to go? Because that good, like you're paying off debt, you're building generational wealth, you bought the home, you have another income stream. That's our dream result 3 years from now, right? The worst case scenario, think about the difference between where we want to be and what would be the worst case scenario. I know for me, the worst case scenario was if I would have gone back to teaching after I had my first child. I worked at a great school and they actually were going to let me, and I say a great school, it was very, very rough. It was inner city and the kids were just had very traumatic home lives and it was rough. But when I say I worked at a great school, I did feel like the principal really, she wanted to work with me when I was getting ready to have my first baby. And she actually was going to allow me to come back part-time, which is kind of unheard of for teaching, right? And so there was another teacher in the classroom for stability, But after I had my first daughter and we thought about it, I was losing benefits because I was going to be working part-time. And when we did, the breakdown of costs, a lot of daycares require you to pay for 5 days a week if you're taking a spot. I was only going to need a daycare for like 3 days a week. We didn't have like friends or family close by that could watch her. It made no sense. I was either going to be like breaking even or even paying to work. That does not, that's bananas. And so if I did that for 3 years, I'd be losing all this time with my daughter. I would be losing money. So that's why I quit. I couldn't make it make sense. So I knew 3 years from now, that is not going to get me where I want to go. So I felt like I had to make a choice. And so when you're thinking about that, you have to decide like, is what I'm doing right now getting me closer or further away from where I want to be? And so, like I said, what I, decided to do in 2018 and starting as a virtual assistant, I felt like freelancing and my heart was the right fit. And no, I'm not virtual assisting anymore. But if I wouldn't have taken that first step, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And the same thing can be said for my students. Whitney, she's a dental hygienist. She has 3 kids at home and they want to have a fourth. And she's like, I know I want to be at home and I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. And she's sharing, she also landed, she was like totally fangirling. She landed this food blogger who has like 600,000 followers on Instagram. She's like, oh my gosh, so and so is now my client. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And so, it's so cool to see my students experiencing these wins and kind of, you know, they're like, I can't believe this is happening. And what they did is they showed up and they put in the work. So when you're thinking about your goals, how would that feel to hit some of those things like being debt free, being able to build generational wealth, to be able to start saving for retirement, to be able to buy your first home? How would that feel? Carolina said, save for my baby's future. All my husband and I love to travel, but we have to stop for a bit. A lot of expenses. Yes, life is just so expensive right now. So I would love for you to put in the chat, how would that feel? We'll keep going. What is it costing you right now to not start? Rebecca said, liberating. So when we're thinking about this and the cost of not starting and not getting closer to that goal, I know that you might be feeling apprehensive because you're like, okay, I know that, if I'm not moving forward, I'm staying in the same place, but like I don't have the knowledge or maybe the skills right now that I need to do this. And I just want to say this big zero. This is how much skills and knowledge I had before I started my business in terms of business, marketing, anything like that. Zero knowledge. And maybe you can relate. Are you like me? I would love for you to put in the chat if you're like me. Do you have any business knowledge, marketing knowledge? Okay, here's another one. Have you ever used Canva? That's one where I'm like, we're going to consider that some business knowledge if you've used Canva. And it's funny because I feel like Canva is so popular now. And when I started my business, I hope that this makes you feel better. When I started my business in 2018, I had never even heard of Canva. I was one of those teachers where if my PowerPoint stopped working during a lesson, I'm like, well, guys, I guess we're not using PowerPoint today. So I was not like some tech savvy person either. So when you're thinking about this and if you're feeling intimidated, just feel reassured by knowing that. Jolie, it would feel like freedom. Lauren, it would feel so refreshing and freeing. Betty, like having freedom. Maria, it would feel like a sigh of relief. Yes. Julie, peace and freedom. Brittany, I feel like a giant weight off my head. Yes, freedom. Let's see. Lauren said, I do have business and marketing knowledge. I adore Canva. Oh, perfect, Lauren. Rebecca, yes, I know nothing about business. I have used Canva just to make a coloring book page for my daughter. Perfect, Rebecca. You've got some experience then. Brittany, I love Canva. Maria, I know the terms and I use Canva full time. Perfect, but I suck at SEO trends and analytics. That's okay. I can help you, I promise. And remember, I never thought this was like a superpower, but because people have said this, I'm like, I'm gonna just use this as a superpower now. Because I was a teacher, I do feel like I break down topics and explain things well. And it's the teacher in me. I taught kindergarten. So I really do take pride in simplifying things and not using like expert speak. And I know that sounds weird, but you have to start and it's kind of like you have to sit up before you start crawling, and you have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run. And that's really what I do inside my academy. I truly assume that you have no background knowledge. So if you already know how to crawl, then you're just going to start walking sooner, right? So just know that I do, truly break things down. Jolie, no, Canva scares me. That's okay, Ariana. I know my way around Canva, but aside from that, I have zero knowledge. Mabel, yes, I'm using Canva. No business or marketing background. I use Canva, but not good with it. That's okay. I love Canva so much. I have zero. I felt very inadequate since I've been looking for a job and been unsuccessful. My youngest five started kindergarten. I haven't worked in 6 years. That's okay. Everybody has to start somewhere. And the fact that you're here tonight, Jules, says a lot about you. So I know I've kind of shared about me, so we'll kind of try to breeze over this. Like I said, I was a teacher. This is me teaching kindergarten, my first day teaching kindergarten. Back in, let's see, my first day, that was in 2014. I'm aging myself. So in 2014, that was the first year I taught, and I quit in the fall of 2017. I taught kindergarten for 3 years, and I was teaching second grade my fourth year. And so I only taught half of that year. So I didn't even teach a full 4 years. And I adjusted to motherhood for about 8 months, and then that's when we decided that life was going to be hard and it was going to be uncomfortable to live on one paycheck. And my husband, he's in sales. He was working a corporate job, but it was still more like entry level, and he hadn't built up a lot of commission yet or anything like that. And so, and we had a mortgage, we had bought a home, and, I felt like, I still want to be able to go on family vacations. I want to be able to afford going out to eat or paying a sitter. So that's when I decided to look into things. And the thing is I enjoy working. I like to make money. I'm going to be honest. And so I actually wanted to use myself in a different way. And I just knew that there was more out there for me. Have you ever felt that? Like, I just want to build something that's mine. And like, I don't know. I wanted to help support our family, and I was determined to find a way where I could still be at home with my daughter. And freelancing provided that for me. But in 2018, I started as a virtual assistant. And I didn't really have like an expertise or like quote a niche yet. And I didn't even really know where to go for like expert skills training yet. I was still kind of learning about freelancing. And so I started as a virtual assistant. And then I heard that like the riches were in the niches. So I pivoted to social media management because that felt comfortable. I'm like, I know Instagram, I know Facebook. After 1 year of social media management, I was so tired and burnt out of liking posts, commenting, answering direct messages. I just was over it, and it just wasn't for me. And around that time, I had a client, and I had been doing her Instagram. She was like, "Hey, I think I could do something on Pinterest. Like, can you figure that out for me? Do you just want to play around with my account?" And at the time, she was like, "I actually can't really afford to pay you for social media anymore." She's like, "I have $200. I will pay you $200 a month to play with my Pinterest." And I was like, okay. And I had taken a very, very basic Pinterest course, and it didn't really, like, I would say scratch the surface of Pinterest. And so I had a lot to learn, and there was a lot of trial and error. But I did discover that I really liked Pinterest. And after 2019, that summer, I decided to commit to working with a business coach, and that didn't start until the fall. But I totally pivoted, just started focusing on Pinterest, and I really like restarted my business. I had built up my business to $4,000 a month as a social media manager. And I essentially went back down to $0 a month because I let go of all of my clients and was like, I'm just going to focus on Pinterest. And so it really took me from like 2019, and I showed you that screenshot, to 2021 to hit my first 10K month as a Pinterest manager. And since then, it's really all been history. After 2019, I decided I was going to go all in on Pinterest, and in 2025, I actually still work with clients. So yes, I have my academy, but I know I shared that I was at a dance competition this week, and I was talking to one of the moms, and she was like, she was actually asking about what I do. And I was telling her about my Pinterest Manager Academy and how I train people now how to become Pinterest managers. And she's like, "So you don't do Pinterest management anymore, though, do you?" And I was like, "No, I do." I think I still work with clients. I have a client right now. And I've worked with her for like over 3 years. But I also love teaching, and I love helping people. And so I find it really rewarding to help people start their business now too. And this is a picture of me in New York. And love this picture because I was in a mastermind with women and it was just something I could have never imagined that I would ever be doing now. And um it's crazy. And like I said, it's all because I just took that first step. So I want to share with you though how Pinterest works for businesses so that you can kind of build this other side. And I was sharing how I was telling another mom about this at the dance competition, and I'm going to explain it to you just like I was explaining it to her. We are Pinterest users, right? If you're here, it's probably because you love Pinterest. But the marketing side is a very different perspective. It's kind of, it's like looking at like a toy and then like deconstructing it to look on the inside. Like that's the other side. That was a very weird analogy, but it's kind of like breaking things down and looking at it from a different perspective. And so I want to show you the marketing side for business. So right now, you might use Pinterest for, and actually drop this in the chat. Put in the chat your favorite thing to search for on Pinterest. You might love recipes, fashion. I love searching nail ideas, DIY projects, sensory ideas for my kids, picky eating ideas, like whatever. There's a million things that you can search for. I want to read these. Let's see. Recipes, home decor, recipe and DIY, pottery or interior design. Love it. Decor and outfits, fashion, interior, kids' hairstyles. Oh, yes, Lily, I've done the same thing. Um, Shaquina fonts and color palettes. I love that. Recipes, homeschool tools, home decor, recipe. Yes, I've done homeschool stuff too. Brittany, recipes, nails, home decor, autism, sensory ideas, outdoor decor, coloring book pictures too. Ooh, I love that. Serena, recipes for sure, home decor, DIY. Okay, so that's what we're searching for. That is the first piece of the Pinterest marketing puzzle. People are searching. Okay, so you're entering in and you don't even realize it. You're entering in keywords. So, you might have seen SEO in the chat or even on my slides. That is part of it. And we'll talk more about that. But you're entering in keywords and then you see pins. Those pins, you're looking for ones that inspire you, catch your attention. That's the visual part. And Pinterest is a visual search engine. So, YouTube, Google, those are search engines. So, people might call Pinterest social media. It's not social media, it's a search engine. And so, it's a visual search engine, which makes it so unique from any other platform. So you see the pins and then you either click on them or you save them, or maybe they don't inspire you, so you scroll by them. Or maybe it doesn't seem like the perfect solution to your problem. So when you go to Pinterest, you either have a problem, I need a recipe for tonight, I need an activity to keep my kid busy, they're home, and I need to get work done or whatever, or you need inspiration, or you're planning something for the future, right? So you either click on the pin, scroll by it, or save it. However, when people click, when you are like, yes, I want that recipe for tonight, when you go to that website, that is where the magic happens for the business owner. Pinterest takes people from the platform to the business owner's website. And the thing about Pinterest is it has trained people to leave Pinterest. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, um, X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, those platforms have been designed to keep you on their platform. They want to get you into that, like, quote, doom scroll. And we're all guilty of it, right? But Pinterest actually has been designed to drive you off the platform and give you the solution that you've been searching for. And so that makes it really powerful for business owners, because once they get you on their website, there's a lot of different ways that they can monetize that traffic. So food bloggers, you know how all those pesky ads come up? They're making money just from you going to their blog, and that they monetize that. Now, you might go to somebody else's website and you're looking up like maybe like an exercise or like a fitness routine, and a pop-up comes up and it's like, hey, enter your name and email and get my free ebook. All of those things, business owners are getting you into their world. Okay, so that's why Pinterest is so powerful. Pinterest takes people from the platform and it drives them to the business owner's website. And so that's how it works. And so those pins, that's kind of, it's almost like their billboard, like how they're, attracting your attention and capturing you. And it's helpful because they're giving you solutions to your problem. So it's not just about sucking you in, they're, giving you a solution to your problem, whether that be your next DIY project or, your next activity with your child. So these are some of the results I've gotten for my clients. And I share this not to brag, but to say, like, this is why you'd want to learn from me. And, this is why business owners want to pay you for this, is because you're making them very real money and you can reach a lot of people. So there's this amazing potential for business owners. Some of my clients have made almost $16,000 or more just from their Pinterest attributed traffic on a monthly basis. There's brands like Target, Lush, Peloton, bloggers, course creators. So when you're thinking about like who can benefit from this though, there are millions upon millions upon millions of online business owners. Actually, I think it's easier to explain who can't benefit from it because almost everybody can benefit. However, there are a few examples of maybe smaller brick and mortars that might not see the best return from a marketing budget spent on Pinterest. So, for example, maybe like a law firm, like a local law firm that really needs people in person, they might not benefit from Pinterest. Or I think of like my daughter's pediatric dentists. Like they don't have anything to sell online, they don't have a blog. They just need patients in person locally in our small town. So it doesn't really make sense probably for them to use Pinterest, right? So not literally every person in the world can, but millions upon millions of businesses can. And that means lots of opportunity for you. And the reason why you should learn from me and listen to me is because this isn't some theory or something that I just came up with. I've been doing this for multiple years. I've grown my clients' traffic 50% year over year. I've helped my clients receive a monthly revenue of $5,000 to $10,000 a month and actually way beyond that, strictly just from Pinterest traffic. And I don't share this once again to brag, but to show you why somebody would pay you for this. Like it's making them money. That's why they justify paying you for this service. So Pinterest is a no-brainer for almost any business, and this means endless opportunities for you, even if you have zero business experience. So let's talk about why you and why Pinterest. I have students like Courtney, who is a former preschool teacher, 4 months, 4 months. That it wasn't overnight, but 4 months into her business, she had 5 clients and was making $2,200 a month, just 4 months into starting her business. Jen got my first client. It's terrifying. She's a big blogger. Ashley was a stay-at-home mom, and it gave her the confidence she never thought she'd have to start her business. So here's the thing. I get it. There's a lot of opportunities, and we live in this world where everybody's vying for your attention and saying like, hey, do this, do that. So like, why Pinterest? Like what gives Pinterest management the edge over the other things that might be trying to get your attention right now? So Pinterest is a platform that's actually really underrated. And this means there's a lot of businesses that need to get on board, but that also means a lot of opportunity for you. You get to be creative. However, I'm going to show you in a minute in my framework. If you're not like uber creative, you can breathe a sigh of relief. You don't have to be some like super artistic person. I'm not. I can hardly draw a stick figure, let alone like having this like amazing like graphic design eye. I don't. So I just want to say like those things are skills that you can learn. This was huge for me, the ability to batch and not hustle daily. When I was doing virtual assisting and social media management, I got sucked into work and it was kind of the nature of the work where I had to do things at specific times. So when I was working on an Instagram account, for example, one of my clients, most of their activity was at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and I'm in Eastern time, but they literally wanted me on their Instagram posting live, so not even using a scheduler. They wanted me to post and then stay on the platform, don't post and ghost, and engaging, liking for at least like 30 to 45 minutes after I posted, and every single day, not joking. And I think about some of the stuff I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why did I do that? That sounds miserable to me now. Whereas with Pinterest, I would work on Ashley's account on a Monday and I would get her scheduled out for the next 7 to 10 days. And I would not touch her Pinterest for the next 7 to 10 days after I got her scheduled out on Monday. Literally, it was night and day difference. What else gives Pinterest the edge? It's a feel-good platform. That was a breath of fresh air, especially after working on social media. There's this unlimited potential. And of course, it's really rewarding to help other business owners. And the reality when I started was I had no business experience, nor did I understand how or why business owners would use Pinterest to make money. I just knew I loved the platform. So obviously, I had a lot to learn. And since then, I've created a repeatable system for using Pinterest to drive traffic for my clients and actually convert their traffic into loyal customers for their business. So, AKA, I became a Pinterest expert. Now, these next few quotes, these are actually people I worked with. So, not students getting results, but my literal clients. And I just wanted to give a few examples, but I also want to share that, there are people who are like, hey, I can teach you how to do this. And they've never actually really done it themselves and are not truly experts. And so it can be a little scary in this online world, I hate to say, about like who to trust and who to learn from. And I share this because I want you to see like why I'm qualified to teach this. I've been doing this. It'll be 6 years this June that I've been just focusing on Pinterest. And so this is one of my clients. She's a course creator and digital product seller and shared, I'm not going to read the whole quote about how I helped her. This is one of my current clients, Shannon. I've worked with her. We were trying to figure this out if it was like 3 or 4 years now. But she said, Emily is nothing short of amazing. Pinterest has been a trickier platform as of late, but her strategies help lead to a very high volume of views, clicks, and sales. Precisely why somebody would want to hire you. You're helping their business make more money. So Pinterest has really, it's been life changing for us. I've made more in 1 month from managing accounts than I made in 7 months of teaching. And moral here, I have the freedom to do my job from anywhere, which is one of the reasons why I started. I wish I could say that I started my business with this vision of like changing the world, but I just wanted to be at home with my daughter. That's all. And the thing is I feel like change actually has to start in your home. And so, it was so important for me to be there. And everybody has different goals, and some people want to be out of the, to each their own, but this was my why. And I wanted to have the freedom to do my job from anywhere, but still support my family. And so now sometimes I even work on client accounts while I'm waiting for my daughters in dance. Or today I was working on it while they were in dance convention. And it wasn't really anything that I could like watch or help with. And so I had time and I worked on my business. So if you can't tell, I've become obsessed with Pinterest. And right now you might be thinking, yeah, but. So I'm just going to kind of outline the way the rest of this training is going to go because I know that we're getting close to the hour mark. I'm going to share a couple of roadblocks that you're going to come up against and the framework that you are going to use so that you can get to that full-time income, part-time hours. So hang with me like 20 more minutes, okay? Remember, I said this is probably going to last around an hour and 15 minutes. So, roadblock number one. I don't think I'll ever be able to develop the skills I need to be successful. And I just want to share with you you're not going to have it all figured out day one. And I know that that is scary, but I just want to say, especially my students in the academy, my academy is a coaching program. So, like, you don't just enroll and put your head down and do this on your own. You have somebody to walk alongside you and hold your hand if you need some hand holding. And the thing is you just have to take that first step, or you can think about it as building a house. You just have to lay that first brick and start building that foundation. You can't look at the entire house and think, where do I even begin? You just have to take that first step. And so in the academy, it gives you that roadmap. So I don't try to overwhelm you and be like, okay, right away, let's get 10 clients, right? No, you have to start slowly. So, you do have to decide though, is this getting me closer or further away from where I want to be in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? Roadblock number two, I know this works for some people, but how do I know it'll work for me? Well, the thing is here is in the beginning when I started my academy, there was a little bit of theory. It worked for me, but I didn't really know if my academy was going to work for other people. And, this working as a freelancer, being a Pinterest manager, it absolutely wasn't just something that worked for me in 2019 and beyond. My students are doing this in 2023, 2024, 2025. And it tells me so much about also the stability of freelancing because even when the world was a very crazy time, my business has provided very stable income for our family. And I see this, in my amazing students. So Shreen, I just landed my first client off the discovery call and she committed to 3 months. No questions. I just wanted to share. I landed my first client. Crystal, I just got my first testimonial client. and you can see more and more wins. So Emily Angelina, she was the one I had mentioned who was a teacher and did not want to quit teaching, but she landed 6 clients and was making $3,500 a month. Um, so let's keep going. Lots of wins here. So what do these students who are sharing all these wins, what do they have in common? The academy, and honestly, whether you learned from me and my coaching academy or you did this on your own, what you put into your business is what you are going to get out of it. I give 100% to my students, but my students have to give 100%. And maybe they're doing this on their own. They're going to have to give 150% if they're doing it on their own and they don't have a clear roadmap. So the thing about my students and the women who are starting and succeeding at this is they take action and they ask questions. They take advantage of my daily coaching. They come to coaching calls. They reach out to business owners via my hire form. I literally give my students people who are looking to hire. I am helping them get their clients. They follow the roadmap that's given to them. And most importantly, they don't make excuses. And I read this quote, and I think it's so important I have to remind myself of this sometimes because we're all guilty of trying to make excuses. And the truth of the matter is, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So, what are you going to fight for? Your success or your limitations? So, roadblock number 3. Isn't this just easier to stick with my current career? I think this sounds too uncomfortable. I get it. But do you want another year of almost? You signed up, you were here tonight, you were taking time out of your life because you want more. If you're not happy with your current situation, what is that going to look like in 5 years? And the thing is, I did love my other job, and there was a lot of guilt around me not going back to teaching. I felt guilty about it because it clearly you do not go into teaching for the income. You go into it for intrinsic reasons. And I loved those kiddos, and it makes me sad. I can still remember so many of them and like their names, and I wonder, they'd be so much older now. And, it kind of broke my heart. But at the same time, I shared this before, like, change also starts in your home. And I'm like, we chose to have a baby and bring this life into the world. And I felt like I wanted to be there for her. And, I wanted to raise her. And so, needless to say, major life events can change how you feel. And like I shared, for some of us, those life events are losing our job, getting laid off, having a pay cut. Like I said, Gwendolyn, she decided to do this because she got a pay cut. And like for her, that was kind of the like breaking point where she's like, I already felt overworked and underpaid, and then they're going to cut my pay. And so you have to decide what's more painful, starting something new or staying where you are. And the thing is you need a process. You don't need a pipe dream. We are given pipe dreams all the time on social media. And for me, I do share about like income and numbers and things like that on social media, but I want you to step into this potential and know that there is this amazing opportunity to grow a business. But the thing is you need the process too. And so it's towing the line between showing you there is this amazing potential, but it does take work and it does take effort. So the thing is I really believe the Pinterest management game is way easier than you think. This is what you need. So I had you share some of your goals. And based off of trainings I've done in the past, I have kind of an idea of a general goal that people are looking for. So maybe 15 to 20 hours part-time, right? And 10K a month, maybe beyond. Now, I do have some people who'd be like, I would be over the moon if I was making like 3 to 5K from this. I have some people who'd be like, I'd be happy with $2,000 a month. So the moral here, though, is we still want freedom, right? And we want money. So how are we going to start offering this service, working at home, getting that freedom, or working from anywhere? I've worked on planes before, I've worked at the beach before. How do we get that freedom and start making income from this? So the first thing is you're going to need some skills training. So right now you're probably a Pinterest user, or maybe you have a little Pinterest marketing experience, but we need to take you from Pinterest user to Pinterest guru. And so I wanted to give you a little idea of what some of the work would be. So one thing that I do on a daily basis is I design pins. And I know I shared that in Canva, and some of you were like, I love Canva. And others of you were like, oh, I'm not so good with Canva. Everything is accepted. In my academy, it is truly step by step. And I assume that you have no experience. So I'm not like, hey, you're a Canva expert, so go do this. No, I truly assume you have no experience. And so everything is very step by step. But with Canva, I didn't have any Canva experience. And I can think of this was my first pin that I designed. And I can think of a lot of things I would do different. But what I learned though is I had a lot of fun messing around and creating it, even though I knew that it wasn't like the best thing ever. But I also learned too that it's actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be. So with design, one thing I want to point out, so this was my first client. She's actually local in Indiana and she sells handmade bows for little girls. And it was kind of perfect because I have four girls. And so I'm like, oh, girl mom here. Now, when I started working with her, I only had one girl at the time. I was actually pregnant with my second girl and I didn't know it was a girl at the time. But she provided these images for me. So when you're thinking about creating these designs for your pins, first of all, the images are really the focal point. And you are not a product photographer or a photographer in general, period. So you don't have to take pictures for your clients. They provide you with that. So these photos of the bows or whatever your client is selling or marketing, they can provide you with images and they can and they should. Now, I have occasionally used stock images from Canva, but most of my clients are providing me the images. And they also will provide you with videos. You are not a video creator. So those things, if you don't want to have to do them, you don't have to. The other thing that's nice too is they already have a brand. They have colors, they have logos, they have their fonts. And so you're kind of bringing their brand to life on Pinterest and you don't have to reinvent the wheel for them. Like I said, they already have a brand and logos and fonts and you can pull in colors from the photo. Like I used a red font here to pull in, accent the bow. But it's nice too that like you're not creating the brand for them. They already have a brand. You're just kind of help, bring that to life through these pins. And in the academy, I teach you step by step how to do the pin design piece. And what's really nice about the coaching, and one of the lessons, everything's video lessons. So you're actually seeing me do the work, but I'll teach you like how to design a pin. And then I'll say, okay, now you go and design 3 pins and put it in the coaching channel for feedback. So then I can look at your pins and give you feedback and just know like I am so impressed with, whatever work my students are doing. And of course, sometimes I'll even be like, this is amazing. I am being super, super picky, like maybe tweak this. But I find that the training, like my students are knocking it out of the park. And so when you have that step-by-step process, it's amazing what you can do. So that is just a piece of the skills training, but that's something that you would be doing daily. So I'm just curious. Let me know in the chat if you think that sounds like fun. Let's see. Julie, yes. Um, oh, Lauren said, Amen, sister. Both my girls um play travel softball, so working from anywhere is important. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, I'm in it. Love it. Perfect. I'm down. Love creating images for clients. For sure. Sounds fun. I would love to do that. I'm so excited when I start. Oh, I love this. Nice. Okay. I love the enthusiasm. Okay. So the next piece, because we want to get to this freedom and money, right? This was one of the like biggest straws of Pinterest management for me was the no hustle automation. So I teach my students how to schedule using Tailwind. Tailwind is an approved partner of Pinterest. And one thing to know when we were kind of talking about business expenses, I want to mention that really quickly. Your clients will pay for Tailwind. So Tailwind is a platform that I teach you how to use. So everything I'm sharing right now, this isn't like, oh yeah, you should just know how to use Tailwind. No, I teach you how to use it. And also, really cool thing that I want to share. 2 weeks ago, I had the Tailwind CEO come and present to my students. So if you decided to enroll in the academy, you could go back and watch that guest expert training. And he gave like a what's working right now on Pinterest, which was cool because since Tailwind is a scheduler, they have the bandwidth to kind of assess millions of Pinterest pins and like what's working on the platform. And he presented those findings to my students. And so we got this really cool perspective of like what's working on Pinterest. And as a small business owner, we would never have that type of like data or insight, right? Like you might work with dozens of people over time, but not being able to like, compare millions of pins against each other. So that was really cool. But your clients, they will pay for Tailwind. So I just tell, when I'm like onboarding a client, like it's just in, my essentially like my packages, like there, I would put like a star, like I use Tailwind. This is something that is a cost for your business. And I never had pushback about it. Literally over like 5+ years, I never had anybody push back about using Tailwind. But that is key to being able to schedule. Like I said, remember I said I'd work on Amanda's on a Monday and I wouldn't touch hers again for another 7 to 10 days. The next piece, though, when you're thinking about not just getting that freedom part right, but also making a really good income from this. I teach my students how to price their services, what to put in their packages. And pro tip, most of your work is going to be ongoing retainer. That means you're not starting every month with $0 in this hustle of like more clients, more clients, more clients. That's not to say you're not always open to taking discovery calls. I always, when somebody would book a discovery call, it was always a pleasant surprise. And as I built my business, getting that first client was a bit of a challenge. I won't, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It took effort. But something about getting that first client, it's so validating and it creates this positive momentum. And then I see this in my students too, that like the first client can be a little bit of a challenge, but then the second client, the third client, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, it comes so much easier. And part of that is because you're getting feedback, you're building your confidence, your energy shifts, and then you also get referrals too. So you'll have an amazing client and then they refer you to your friend. One of my students, she not just had one client, but six, and it happened so quickly. And when I was asking her about it, she said her first client referred her to 5 other people. And I was like, that is wild. That's never happened to me. But that's the thing. There's all these unique stories. And that can also be one of the toughest pills to swallow. I know that sounds weird to say, but all in the same breath. But everybody's story is different. And, with Emily, who, not Etsy shop Emily, but teacher Emily, but she was the one who that first client referred her to 5 other people. I've never heard of that. That was really unique. But everybody's journey and how they grow, it does look different. And so, but once again, in order to, get to your first, your second, your third, you just have to take that first step. So back to the pricing system though, I teach my students how to price with transparency, knowing that like this is fair. I know how I'm getting these numbers. I'm not pulling these out of thin air. This is fair for a beginner. So then when somebody pushes back about your prices, because you will always, the price will always be an objection. I could, make something $1 million and somebody's going to object. I could make something $5 and somebody's going to object about paying $5. That it just is what it is. And so when you're thinking about this though, when you know your price is fair, especially for your level of experience, when somebody pushes back, you can just say, you know what, I guess it's not the best fit. And like bless and release and move on because there will be people who will pay you for your expertise and those are your people. And so I had people say no to a proposal for, $350 and I had people say no to a proposal for $1,500. So it's important to know how you're coming up with those pricing with your pricing, I should say. And I also coach my students too. So with like some of my students, like Courtney, I'm like, hey, Courtney, like you have multiple clients. You've been at this for like over a year now. Like you need to increase your prices. And so I help my students too with increasing those prices and continuing to scale. And the beauty of it is increasing your pricing is like the first step to scaling because you're making more and you're not working more, right? Okay, so the next piece, you're not going to have a business if you don't have clients. I don't think that's earth-shattering information, right? And I think that's something that really scares people. Like, who are these people? Where do they come from? What if I am the one person who never gets a client? I'm just going to say you're not that special. I know that sounds weird, and I don't say that to sound rude, but if you put in the work and you decide, I am going to do this and I am not going to give up, you will get a client. Now, one thing that you will have to accept is that everybody's timeline looks different, but you are not going to be the one person who gives it 100% and doesn't give up and never gets that client. You will get a client, but you have to release the expectations of when it should happen. I know, like I shared Annie's at the beginning, how she is making over $8,000 a month now. It was a little bit of a grind. I remember last spring she was sending out pitches and she was getting frustrated because she was like, this person said they were interested, but like it's a not right now. And it happened a couple of times, but she continued to show up. And she might have been frustrated, but she continued to show up. And by the fall, multiple people who had told her not right now in the spring were like, hey, I'm ready to start. And she went from, I think it was like 3 to 6 clients very quickly. And that work she had been putting in, it wasn't for nothing. It was pushing that snowball down the hill. And then she started to get this momentum. And I've seen that with so many of my students, but that can be challenging. Now, when you're thinking about getting those clients, though, my students are not building and investing and doing all this work to create a fancy website. Yes, eventually you might want a website as you grow your business, but in the beginning, you can be booked out as a Pinterest manager with just a portfolio. And if you're like, oh, Emily, I don't know how to make a portfolio, perfect. I teach you that in the academy. So I teach you what to put in your academy, or excuse me, what to put in your portfolio, how to lay it out. I give you a portfolio template. And in my coaching channel, if you want to see everybody else's portfolio, in my coaching channel, which is in Slack, just a platform that I would teach you how to use. But in Slack, you can search by keyword. So you could search portfolio. You can see all of the other students' portfolios as well. Kind of helpful, right? And so you can get ideas and inspiration and see what other people are doing. But you're also, like I said, given a template from me and I tell you what to put in it. And I find that like I've had students enroll in the academy and it's self-paced. There is a coaching period. So it's depending on what you're wanting and like there's is an investment involved obviously with it being business coaching, but depending on what you're wanting and needing, there are two different time frames, 6 months or 9 months. I have students enroll and get their portfolio done in like one weekend. And the beauty of it is that as you start working with clients, you're going to have more questions and you're like, that's the beauty of it. But let me explain. The beauty of the coaching is that as you do work with clients and you have questions, you have me there for support. And you don't have to feel scared or feel like, what did I get myself into? You have me there. So, like, as things come up and there's nuances, or, there's this happened with this account, you can ask and get that support. And I find that, like I said, once my students start working with clients, it's not like all their, questions and, disappeared. They have even more questions because they're literally implementing, what they've been trained to do. Now, I do want to share that one thing I do teach my students before you start working with clients is to get testimonial work under your belt. And I find that that is really helpful with building confidence because, in the beginning, you're not going to be confident. You're acting from a place of courage. And so if you're waiting to work with a client until you're confident, you're never going to have a client because you're not going to be confident. You just have to get started and know that, one, my pricing is fair. I am a beginner. I'm not pricing as an expert. Two, everybody has to start somewhere. Three, business owners know that I'm a beginner and they're okay with that. I have in my hire form a place where it's essentially like, are you open to working with a beginner? And most of the businesses that fill out my hire form on my website indicate that they're open to working with a beginner. So when I'm giving you leads, those business owners, they know you're a beginner and they're okay with that. And so I also want to, okay that. But going back to your portfolio, when you're thinking about getting that testimonial work, and kind of making more concrete in your mind what you've been trained to do, that testimonial work is really helpful because it kind of removes some of that pressure because you're doing a little bit of work, not like hours upon hours, but maybe a couple of hours of work for free in exchange for feedback that you can put in your portfolio. So I find that that is really helpful for my students. And then sometimes because they do such a great job with the testimonial work, some of their clients or their testimonial clients turn into paying clients, which is awesome. Now, when you're thinking about getting the right client loan, I teach multiple strategies for finding clients in my academy. And, that could be using LinkedIn, that could be using Facebook groups, that could be using platforms like Indeed, Upwork. Not the biggest fan of those. That could be using my hire form. But this is one of my favorite ways. I have an entire module about no excuse paid to pitch. And what I mean by no excuse paid to pitch, If you are reaching out to business owners and you see opportunity there on their Pinterest, or maybe they're thriving and you just want to work with them, that's kind of the case with Whitney when she reached out to this person, this big blogger. She was actually already on Pinterest, but she did, I think, see some things that could be tweaked or improved. But, anyways, back to paid to pitch. This is your no fail plan for landing clients. Because when you are pitching, you're essentially reaching out to a business owner that doesn't know you, hence the word cold, and you're saying, hey, I would love to work with you. Are you interested in chatting? Now, of course, that's not exactly what you're saying in the email. And for some of you, you might feel resistance coming up in your body. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I get that because that was me. And what kind of forced me to start cold pitching was I had been managing Pinterest accounts, but I learned this more premium service. I learned Pinterest ads, paid advertising on Pinterest. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I have clients for management, but like, what about Pinterest ads? Where do these clients come from? And I was working with a business coach at the time, and she was like, Emily, if you don't see opportunity, it's not just gonna like magically fall into your lap. You have to go out there and create your own leads and your own opportunities. And so that's when she worked with me and kind of gave me that confidence to start pitching. And so what I started doing was I crafted an email and actually my business coach, very successful business coach. She's a course creator. She actually was a former English teacher. So she like read my email template that I was using for pitching, refined it, we worked together, and then I even created a PDF to show business owners like their unique business, how Pinterest ads could make their business more money. Let me tell you, side note, nothing speaks to a business owner more than like telling you how you're going to make them more profit. And so we created this strategy for pitching, and I started getting Pinterest ads clients from cold pitching. And it kind of became a game where I used like an email tracker and I could see when people opened my emails. And then it was like exciting because I'm like, oh my gosh, this person responded. And it was fun. And it was something that I did not want to do. It felt icky, annoying. And once I started doing it, because of the approach I took with like doing my research, sincerely wanting to help that business owner, and not just like being like, hey, you want to buy this, but like knowing that I could actually offer something that would help them, it felt totally different. And I actually enjoyed pitching, which I know sounds crazy. And the truth of the matter is like it works and it is a numbers game, but it also is more effective if it's done well. So what I teach in my academy, is a strategy, and it's so interesting because my students have even played around with things like the subject line for the emails. And one of them, Jen, last week, I was looking at, she wanted me to review her pitch. So I even went in her Google Doc, made notes. I'm like, no, change this or like reword that. I gave her personalized feedback because that's part of the business coaching. So I gave her personalized feedback. And one note she had made in her pitching was like, I tried other subject lines and yours got way more opens in regards to people opening my emails. So like, my students are giving me feedback like what you're teaching works for me. So this is how lots of my students are getting clients. It's not the only strategy, but it's a no fail because it's truly just numbers. So, I have students who have sent out 9 emails like Diana and got her first client. I have students like Jen who sent out over 50, got her first client. I have students like Emily who sent out over 100, and got multiple clients that way. So it's effort. So you're not going to hear me say this doesn't take any time or effort. No, it does take time and effort, but it's like, do you actually want this though? Because if you're not willing to put in the time and effort, then you don't want it that bad, right? And like I said, I mean that from a place of love and kindness, but I'd rather you be like, no, she told me it was going to take effort. Now the next piece, and we're almost done here. I know I'm going like way over. Systems that scale. In order to support multiple clients, you have to have systems in place. So I teach you all of those systems because I want to just say when I first started my business, I was like, there is no way that this is scalable. This takes me forever to do. And like for one client, this takes me like forever. And so having those systems in place is going to be crucial because you will be slow in the beginning. It would be unreasonable for you to be fast and good at something you've never done before. So you're going to be slow. But as you continue to implement those systems, you will get faster. So I tell my students it'll probably take you 15 to 20 hours a month for one client. So if you do the math, that is anywhere from like 4 to 5 hours on a weekly basis for one client. So remember when I was telling you how I would batch, like that would be 4 or 5 hours for just Amanda's account on a Monday. However, once you have these systems in place, I find my students shave it down to like 12 to 15 hours or even like 10 to 13 hours a month. So if you're doing the math in that case, you're looking at like 2.5 hours to maybe like, you know, three, 2.5 to 3 or 4 hours a week for one client. So that's a whole different story. And when I was really, really fast, and I will say, I can't tell you how fast you're going to be because everybody's different. But after I had done this for multiple years, it would take me like 2.5 hours for one client. So I could do a couple of clients in one day. Now, you don't want to burn yourself out. And there's also support if you get to that point where you want to hire people. And I've already had at least 3 students now, maybe more, who now I'm thinking Robin, Adriana, Annie, Courtney. I can think of at least like 5 off the top of my head who have already hired subcontractors or an assistant. So there is support in the academy on that too when you're ready to hire. Now, this last piece to getting to this framework, I'm going to kind of speed it up here. And I'm speeding it up, and it's actually one of the most important things. The academy, if you haven't realized this by now, to get to that part-time hours, full-time income, one thing that truly makes a difference in my students' success is having that personalized Pinterest coaching. It's an immediate feedback loop. Like I said, you design pins, you get feedback on them. You create your portfolio, you get feedback on it. You write your pitch and you want feedback before you start sending it, you get feedback. That is huge for my students in succeeding because then you don't just feel like you're spinning your wheels or like you're doing something and like ramming your head against the wall. And it's like, what am I doing that I'm not like realizing here? And when you take a course, I don't call my program a course because it's not a course, it's a coaching program. But when you take a course, you are on your own. And it's like, hey, I signed up for this digital course. I got to put my head down and do this work. My coaching program, yes, you're getting skills training, but you're getting that personalized support and feedback so that you're not just getting stuck and spinning your wheels, but you can be like, hey, I've been doing this and this isn't working. Like, what do I need to change? So when you're thinking about this, and like one more minute here, I know we're like way over, but I want to give you the next steps if you're like, yes, I know this is for me. So a very typical introductory package for a Pinterest manager, and I just kind of want to help you start thinking about the math here. It ranges from $450 to $700. So, and that's on a monthly basis. Like one client as a beginner, 450 to 700. Remember Nancy at the beginning, I said with her first client, she was making 597 a month. So if you landed 5 clients at 450, you'd be making $2,200 a month. If you landed 5 clients at 600, you'd be making 3,000. And if you landed 5 clients at 1,000, you'd be making 5,000. So you might be thinking, Emily, okay, how can I do this and not have like a million clients if I want to make 10K? The key will be creating premium packages, and you're not going to be ready for that right away in the beginning. Both of my students, so like Annie and Adriana, well, I have a lot of students, but some of them who have scaled faster, they've created those premium packages. And Annie and Adriana, who scaled to $5,000 months within like 6 months, some of their packages were anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500. Now, that is something we can cross that bridge when we're ready to come to it. But I just want you to know that there are ways to not have 10 million clients and start scaling your business. But everybody has to start from somewhere, and you're not going to be ready to have, more expensive or premium packages right away. So when you're thinking about this, what is going to make this quick and easy for you? There are 2 things that are not necessary to win the Pinterest game. You don't need a formal degree in business and marketing, and you don't need prerequisite skills that make you uniquely qualified. So if you're wondering about the next steps and you want to chat with me about the academy and you're like, yes, Emily, I know this is for me, I would love to chat with you. This is something that I take very seriously. I show up for calls, and if you take a spot for an application call, I ask you to show up and respect my time because I respect yours. But I would love to chat with you. This is a coaching program. I am working closely with my students. They have the opportunity to ask me multiple questions on a daily basis. There's a weekly coaching call. And like I said, there are different options. So I do like to talk to people because then we can kind of talk through the structure of the academy and how there's like a 6-month option and a 9-month option. So I do like to talk to people one-on-one, and also to be transparent. I want to make sure that I think you're a good fit for it. I am not about encouraging people to do something that might not be a good fit for them. Because this is a coaching program, I've had people ask me before if there's an investment. There is absolutely an investment. And I am not ashamed to say that because I give a lot of time and effort to my students. And I was just talking to my husband about this actually. There's an exchange of energy. You would not have the same commitment and investment to this if you didn't literally have an investment. And I know that sounds strange, but it's the same thing for me. If I wasn't able to provide for my family financially, then it would be hard to devote hours upon hours to this, right? So this is a coaching program. This is not another course. So it is different. And so I just want to be transparent about that. Like, you are getting modules and you're getting lessons and skills training, but it is a coaching program, and that is a huge piece of it. There's also guest expert calls. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I had the Tailwind CEO come in. So any past guest experts I've had, you can watch those. So I've had people come in and talk about LinkedIn, Google Analytics, time management, mindset, things that are really important for building your business. And I think it's helpful to hear other experts and speakers apart from me. So, like, I am your Pinterest go-to guide, but it is nice to have additional resources and things. So, for example, I know a lot of people have questions about, establishing your LLC, the tax portion of having a business. And so I actually had a CPA come in and talk about that. I needed a certified tax professional. I can give you advice and tell you what I did for my business, but I have to share the disclaimer, like, I'm not a tax professional. So I think, it was important to me to have somebody who is a tax professional come in and speak to those things. So if you are interested in chatting with me, I would love to chat with you one-on-one. I'm going to take 7 calls this week. There are a few spots inside the academy available right now. This is something that I can't support endless amounts of students. And so I like to keep it, more personalized. It's not something where you're going to enroll and you're like one of thousands. It's definitely a smaller group. There's typically anywhere from like 7 to 10 women on our weekly coaching calls. And not everybody even has questions on those coaching calls. Sometimes people just come to listen. So it definitely is something that's a smaller, closer community for sure. So one thing I would love for you to do, if you want me to email you and you would like to chat, then you can email me. But I want to share this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 1 second. I'm going to share this link really fast if you would like to snag one of those times to book a call with me. Let me pull this up. I should have already had that linked. Let's see here, because like I said, I'm only taking so many this week. So let me pop that in the chat and share this so then you can just, okay, so if you want to snag one of those times on my calendar, you can do that. I just put that in there. Oh, and I see a couple of people. Feel free to do that too. If you want me to email you, I would love to email you. But I noticed a couple of you just, you can send it as a direct message if you don't want to put your email in the chat. Perfect. I should have mentioned that to begin. So if you dropped your email, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to, if you want to put your email in or if you want to grab that link. And I know we went like way, way over. So I do apologize about that. I hope that you found this helpful, and that it gave you a good understanding of like what Pinterest Manager is, what it's going to require, what you're going to do, how to get started. Let's see here. So I have, yay, Lauren said she booked. I can't wait to chat with you. I'm going to see if there's any questions I missed. So like I said, I put that. Whoops, let's see. Let's see here. Okay. Sorry, processing. Let me put this one more time in the chat. Jules said I booked at 11 tomorrow. Yay, can't wait to chat with you. Julie, thank you. I hope you have a good evening too. Let's see. Yes, of course the call is free. You're just chatting with me. But I do ask that if you book a call, you're seriously interested in the academy and know that there's an investment involved, if that makes sense. So it's not like necessarily like a meet and greet, but like I want to do this. And I understand like wanting to have some questions answered. But just because you could be taking that time away from somebody who is really serious about enrolling. So if it's something that's like a not right now, feel free to shoot me an email rather than book a call and we can chat through email just because I try to reserve those calls for people who are like, I want to do this now. And I also, like I said, I want to chat with you. I want to give you the opportunity to ask me questions, but I also, want to help you come to that conclusion to see if it's a good fit, talk about the options in terms of like, do you want to do 6 months? Do you want to do 9 months? And helping you come to that decision from a place of clarity. Yay, Brittany, I can't wait to chat. But yes, of course, like in order to like chat with me and stuff though, that is free. Jolie, I'll probably have to think about this, but thank you for your time. Have a good night. Yes, of course. No worries at all. And I will be sending out more emails this week too. So it can stay on your radar. Okay, so I am going to wrap this up. I think I grabbed let's see, I think I grabbed a couple of the emails that were sent as direct messages. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss those and also give you a minute too and not just pop off to grab that link if you wanted to book a call. Oh, Ashley, are the calls only Zoom or phone an option as well? I have a busy kiddo with me at home. Oh my gosh, Ashley, I totally get that. There have been times where on my I'm in a business mastermind right now. I've been in a few different ones. I am always reinvesting in my business, needless to say, but where I've been listening to something in an AirPod and like pushing somebody on the swing at the park. So when I say that I'm at home with my kids, I mean I'm at home with my kids. And so if you, Ashley, if it's better for you, I'd love to see people face to face. I think it's a different form of connection. But if it's easier for you to just do a call, I am more than happy to do that and let you be on the go. I get needing to be mobile. Let's see. So just let me know, Ashley. Maria, I'm interested, but sadly, everything depends on pricing currently. As we are on a strict budget, I'd love to email though to ask some questions about the academy. Yes, Maria, feel free. And I totally get that and I respect that. It says Apple iPhone. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what your name is. I will email you to ask questions. Sounds good. Um, and yay, I see. Oh, I see. Rebecca, you said booked. Where do you look at the academy? Oh, that's such a good question, Kelly. So because of me wanting to chat with people, make sure it's a good fit in terms of the academy, after I have a call with somebody, if I think that they're a good fit and we're on the same page and they're interested in enrolling after that, then I'll send them the link for the enrollment page. And it has testimonials, reviews. It also has videos so that you can listen to some of my students speak to their experience in the academy. But then it has the modules, and it actually gives a time breakdown. So my Rockstar contractor, Erica, who works with me, she also helps in the academy as well, but she just had a baby, so you won't be hearing from her for a hot minute. But she helped me on my enrollment page where she literally went in and added up all of the lessons in the academy for each module. So for module 1, you'll see a time estimate. And the reason why it's an estimate is because she literally added up the lessons, but then she factored in implementation. So like I said, I might say, here's how you design a pin. Now go and design 3 pins. And so she factored that implementation in. So module 2, that is a larger time estimate on how long it's going to take because you're creating your portfolio in that module. So anyways, that enrollment page has the modules, the time estimates for how long it's going to take you to get through the academy material. Also, pro tip, you do not have to go through all of the modules in order to start working with clients. And I actually don't recommend that you do because there's a lot of education and training. And you're like, wait, how can I do this without being fully trained? And one of the modules is actually all about like scaling. And in the beginning, you don't need to learn about scaling. Okay. Like that is when you're ready to take on more clients or start charging more or create those premium packages and you're ready to increase your prices. So I also want to mention that too. Like you don't have to go through the entire academy. So actually, Annie has been in the academy for over a year. And she actually just shared last week in Slack that she's only gone through 70% of the academy. So she's making over $8,000 a month from this. She's had over 15 clients and she's not even all the way through the academy. So there's a lot of material in there, but not to overwhelm you. It's just to say that like you don't have to watch every coaching call replay, every guest expert training. You can get to a point where like, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but like it's almost like making excuses again, like, oh no, I can't start because I haven't watched every lesson. And it's like once you get that portfolio done and you get the testimonial, I also tell you, like, I give you a timeline, like, get this done, get this done. So it gives you like, I know, like I checked this off, like I'm ready to start working with a client. So there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, that is all like the modules and everything that's broken down on the enrollment page. But then the enrollment page, it has like a breakdown of like the coaching. So, like I get daily coaching, I get a weekly coaching call in a group setting, I get guest expert calls periodically, and then it gives you a breakdown of like the 6 month options and things like that. And so, yes, that is something that I usually share with people after an application call. However, there's students like Lisa or Bethany or Stephanie. I have had a couple of students who we've emailed back and forth, and they were like, we had just chatted and they're like, I know I want to do this. Like, I'm ready to enroll. And they were ready for that. And so I did send them the enrollment page and they enrolled and they've been doing great. So I have people that I've chatted with over email before and shared that enrollment page with them. But like I said, I feel like, I don't share this enrollment page like on my website and on social media and things like that. Like I feel protective of it because I don't just want anybody to enroll. I want people who are ready for this and are going to take action and get results. So it's not a good look for me to have people enroll and then not get a transformation. Like to me, it's important to like, I'm working with these women that enroll closely too. And so I just want to make sure, like, that there's a time investment, apart from a monetary investment, that there's a time investment and like you were willing to commit to this. And so, and of course, I can gather that through email too. But when you're investing in something, like, I want you to know that, like, I want you to feel comfortable and like I want you the opportunity to talk to me and like ask me questions and know that like you want to learn from me. So I want to like respect that and knowing that like you probably found me somewhere online and like that's a little crazy. And so, I get like wanting to have that personal connection and be like, I know that I like you, I trust you, I want to do this with you. So hopefully all that makes sense. That was a very long-winded answer. I'm sorry, Kelly. Um, so Serena, I booked, super excited. Thank you, Emily. Have a great night. Oh, yay! Can't wait to chat with you. Let's see. Okay, I have another email that was sent to me through direct message, so I'm going to copy that really fast. Got that one snagged. Okay, give like one more minute here if anybody else has any other questions. Kelly said this is something I need to talk to my husband about. So is there a place I can see pricing? I want to email to learn more. Yes, we can email. The other thing I was going to mention to you too, especially with like explaining this to your husband and like for any of you who have like a spouse or um somebody that you want to talk through with this and get them on board. I wanted to share, I have a couple of things. I have had people who, when they were like, I seriously want to do this because it is like a different concept, like your spouse maybe never heard of the Pinterest Manager Academy, obviously, but maybe they've never heard of Pinterest management, is what I should say. And so, that's a new concept. Even freelancing might be a new concept and being a service-based business. And so I have had people who have actually had their husband watch the training replay. So I will send out this training replay. So like if you really want to do this and like you want to make sure that your spouse is on board, I definitely encourage that. Like, when you're in that partnership, you are a team and you got to, it's important to be on the same page. And one thing I cannot like say enough is like how supportive my husband has always been of my business. And I know that that's not the case for everybody. And that's really hard to not have somebody support you. And so, that really made a huge difference in my success too, is like having somebody that believed in me and supported me. And that's not to say that you couldn't do this without having somebody support. But of course, like we all want to be on the same page, especially when there's an investment. And so they could watch the replay. Another thing that I've told people, I'm like, when I get on calls with people, like I am not uncomfortable with them having their spouse there too. Like if they want to ask questions, that is totally fine. So that's another thing. Also, too, I've also had people where they booked a call with me, we chatted, and then after they talked to their husband, they had more questions. And so they're like, my husband wants to know like X, Y, and Z. So like if he has questions, like by all means, like, shoot them my way. I'm happy to answer those too. And like I said, he can watch the replay of the training. There was something else I was going to mention. Oh, I know. One thing too that had like, I didn't really think about it this way, but then I talked to like my business coach about this, is that when you are doing something like this, I think it's important to like know, like in my heart, I have made this decision that I want to do this even before you talk to your spouse. And I know, of course, they have to be a part of that decision making before you like literally like pay. But I think it's important to know that you do want to do it, because if you're unsure or you're wavering, your partner, like it is their instinct to be protective. And I think that they're going to want to keep you from like getting hurt or failing, or, you know, two, part of that protective is making sure that like you're not getting scammed and I'm a real person and I'm actually going to help you, right? So that's why I'm like, watch the training, get on a call with me, read some of my countless testimonials, reviews from, people, watch the video. But part of that I think is knowing that you do want to do that and you have that confidence, because you are in control of your actions. And I believe in my heart, truly, barring, and I don't say this to sound like cheeky, barring you don't have some type of like, mental or physical disability that will keep you from being able to like watch the lessons and implement the work. I truly believe anybody can do this, but you have to be committed to it. And like I said, one thing that you have to be willing to release is the timeline in terms of, what you deem like success, and like how fast I get my client, how fast I get my first 5 clients, things like that. And that can be challenging. But I truly believe that as long as you decide to do this, you want to do this, you're not going to give up, you will be successful. And I think that when you have that confidence and like, that I'm going to do this and like, I'm not going to give up and this is going to work. It can be scary. I'm not saying it won't be scary. It will be. But when you are determined in that way, that's how I approach my freelance business. And I really attribute my success. And I was an action taker. Like I dove in, I did the work. And, I've done a lot of, and you can see these on my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel, but I've interviewed past students on my YouTube channel as success stories. And I was kind of like hoping, I'm like, what was their secret? And there was this resounding theme of their like, I just put in the work. I just took action. I just followed like the roadmap you laid out. And I was hoping there was like this magic trick that I could tell other people. And I'm like, it's really that simple. And so it's not even like, yes, I give you the roadmap, and some of my students will be like, thank you so much. Like, and it's very nice. They're like, I owe it all to you. And I'm like, but you don't. Like, I didn't like, you have to do the work and I can't make you do the work. So, yeah, I gave you the roadmap, but like, you need to take ownership of your success because you were the one who showed up and put in the work. So, when you're thinking about this got a very long, like, I don't even know how I ended up where I am now in this conversation, but um, back to like your spouse, when you have that determination though, that gives them confidence too. Because I think when I've approached my husband about things, it was not like, do you think I can do this? It's like, I'm going to do this and I'm asking for your support. And that's a different approach. Like when you're asking for support rather than like, do you think I can do this? And so I think it's like knowing that you can do it. It's like, will you support me in this? Because I know I can do this. And that's I think that feels different for them too. So that was just something that, I think was like a difference too for me and like talking to my husband about different things I've done. But then a very, very important conversation though, because you got to be like a team. And I totally understand that. Um, let's see. Maria, you mentioned it's a business. Should you start with an LLC or can that come later? Maria, that is such a good question. So, in the guest expert training with the CPA, she talks about establishing your LLC and she does talk about doing it right away. I do like to share my experience. I actually waited to establish my LLC for about 6 months. So I actually worked with clients and was, accepting money before I had my LLC. Now, it is important, like having your LLC is just an important business foundation because it's protecting yourself. But I had my friend, I conveniently have a friend who's an attorney, and just to, free of charge, I actually gave her a testimonial. She established my LLC for me, set that up, and I gave her like a testimonial, but that was about 6 months into my business. And so I started in, let's see, it was like late July or beginning of August of 2018. And I did not establish my LLC until March of 2019, if that's helpful. But it is an important business foundation. But in the beginning, especially Maria, because like you're not going to have like a client day one. It's not like you literally have to do it the first day, but I think it is an important thing to do sooner rather than later for sure. Um, oh, Kelly, you live in Indiana. We are we're like 25 minutes north of Indianapolis. We're in a little town. Jules, I'm so excited. I literally cannot wait to start. I feel like this is what I've been looking for. Amen. I know my husband will be supportive because I'm so excited. Oh, I love that, Jules. That's awesome. Maria, awesome. Thank you. You're so welcome. I hope it's helpful too. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. Um, um, let's see. So yes, I hope this has been helpful. Okay. So I think I'm kind of seeing, oh my gosh, we're already like almost at 2 hours. I've enjoyed this so much. This has been great. If you guys can't tell, I love to talk about this stuff and answer your questions. Um, so I hope this was insightful. And see, we live about an hour north of Kokomo in a little town. Oh, okay. Kelly, I went to Purdue. And I feel like I knew if not a ton. Actually, there's a lot of people from Illinois that went to Purdue, but some of my friends were from Kokomo. So I grew up I'm from Southern Indiana. I grew up in Nashville. It's so funny. When I say Nashville, people are like, "Ah, Tennessee." And I'm like, no, Nashville, Indiana. But Brown County is such a cute, my parents still live there and like I'll go down and visit them and stuff. Um, but I've born and raised in Indiana. It's the only state I've ever lived in. I do like to travel. I've been out of the country multiple times, traveled to lots of different states, but I've just never lived in another state. Um, oh, Lauren said, "Oh my gosh, we go to Brown County every year." Oh, that's so funny. My daughter just moved from Princeton, Indiana. Oh, that's awesome. What a small world. That's so funny, Lauren. I actually had somebody enroll in the academy that was like she lived in the same small town as me, but she had like found me online. I'm like, oh my gosh, she had no idea that I was in Indiana. I thought that was funny. Um, so very funny. I love that though. Yeah, Brown County is so pretty. It doesn't really feel like Indiana. There's definitely like a lot of flat land and cornfields and stuff in Indiana, but Brown County is like what do they call it? They called it like the Little Smokies because it's kind of like hilly and like valleys and trees and it's so pretty in the fall. Oh, you go around Christmas. Oh, if you can make it sometime in the fall, I think usually it like peaks like maybe like the first or second week in October. It's so pretty there when the leaves change. But that's too funny. I love that. Okay, so let's see here. I think I got everybody's email that had shared it, or they booked a call if they're going to book a call. So, okay, I will let you guys go. I know, I can't believe so many of you stayed and hung out with me. I love it. Thank you so, so much for your time. I can't thank you enough for staying with me for so long and learning more. And if you booked a call, I can't wait to chat with you. And yay, it's gonna be fun. I should also mention too, the calls are like, it's not like a high pressure or like stressful, like you don't need to prepare for it. It's literally just us having a conversation. So oh, you're so welcome, Lauren. Thank you so much for coming. So yeah, I can't wait to chat with you if you booked a call. And if you're here, I can't thank you enough for being here and learning. I'm not sure how to direct message, but can you send me your email? Oh, Taylor, here, I'll put it in the chat really fast. I should mention too, if you ever receive an email from me, oops, let me do this to every meeting group chat here. Okay, I just put my email in there. If you ever receive an email from me and you're like, I know this is like to her entire email list. Yes, I have an email list that I send out, like obviously like emails to my entire list, like mass emails. But if you ever reply to one of those, it goes to my email. So it goes to a person. Now, she's on maternity leave right now, but it isn't necessarily always me that responds, but Erica did just have a baby, so it will be me responding or possibly another team member, but a real person does respond to those. So if you ever want to just reply to one of the emails you receive, it doesn't just like go to outer space. A real person does read those. And we try to respond to every single email that comes through. And there's certain ones where like she'll be like, Emily, this is like attention Emily. So like if she wants me to read it or she's like, you need to respond to this. So anyways, if you're like, I want Emily to read this, feel free to specify because I want you to know that like, that's important to me and feeling like you actually have a way to like contact, and it's not like going to outer space. So you're so welcome, Taylor. Ariana said, thank you so much. I feel so inspired. Oh, I love that. Oh, you're so welcome. Um, I'm so glad that you feel inspired. That makes me happy. Jules, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. You too. Julie, thank you for presenting this. You're so welcome. Okay, I hope everybody has a great night. I can't wait to chat with you this week or chat with you through email. And yeah, talk to you soon.